Rightness versus madness. Just I want to leave you some example, because I've been talking about so many things, and this is only an example to show the world we live in. You know, sometimes I think, what is this? Is this a joke? Because at least usually I feel somehow alone. I see basically no one else doing this critical critical thinking. I know it's not easy, but sometimes I think, okay, what's going on? Because human beings should use it. It's about its own nature. Well, you see this image. It's funny because the law says something like, they say, to prevent fires and so on, to prevent. Not only that, they of course they have an agenda, but I leave this for now. You know, they want people without a thing, and so they try to prohibit everything. And it's again, it's a joke. Well, so they put in the law things like property, people have to clean their lands from the roads from the public spaces, about 50 meters. So you see, 50 meters is something. It's something. And then in practice, what we see is something like, sometimes we see, well, not exactly the private property. Usually they are scared because they can have a fine or something, and they don't want to risk. So usually they clean. Not always, but anyways, the thing is, public service usually show something like, sometimes they clean 5 meters, sometimes they clean 50 centimeters and sometimes nothing at all. And you see, this is what? It's a joke, of course. And but people are scared, so usually they obey. But in meantime, well, things are not exactly like that. Usually people are not exactly well behaved, so many times you can see everywhere weeds through the public spaces, people walking, passing by, have to go to the middle of the road and things like that. Because of that, you see, and then there are things a bit dangerous sometimes, like I think is brandlers. Well, doesn't matter. And you know, trees, and so this is something. And then you see sometimes trees like this image that are a bit, sometimes not only a bit, out of their place, their property, and in public space. But you see, like this, figs, a bunch of figs in the ground. See, but then people are scared and they don't touch in that because it's private property. You see, if you see something in public space, you found it, it's yours, you know. Of course, if you see a wallet and there is an identification on it, well, I believe you are going to give the owner, but otherwise you don't know. You found it, it's yours. It's simple. It's in public space. Can be everyone, basically. So you see, what is in public space is public. So if you have a property with a tree like this, in part in public space, that part is public. That's it. It's so simple as that. But people don't get it. It's difficult. It's you see the scare to the it's insane. People can't think. So this is just an example of how people are living. And then there are other things like in the last videos I mentioned, is like the idea of money and earn money and be rich. That's that idea where people don't think, don't get it. Problem which is the rational thinking, and so they people think almost always in the same way in everything. It's like everything is something like romantic, something that it's like this or like that. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what is. Doesn't matter how it is. Doesn't matter. What matters is something. Is something. You see. And so people admit everything, but no limits. So no rationality, no reason. So there's no reason for whatever. It's something that doesn't matter. You see. So, like money. So there is no, as I said, there is no relation whatsoever in this world with people, with social interests, with whatever. There is only a relation with the will. The will. That is, basically, I want to do what I want. Power. Not only power, but it's around this concept, this idea, which is basically the irrational way, which is only the satisfaction of a will, the individual will. I like this, I want that, just that. Not explaining, nothing. There is no reason. That's only a matter of will, of course, interest, whatever. Will. That's it. You see. So no limits. Only more. So doesn't matter if someone one day will be our owner, basically. No. People live in a fantasy. The idea of freedom, the idea that people can do this or that and so on, and things just work fine, and nothing happens, and so on. You see, so if there is an agenda, an occult agenda, whatever, people don't care if there is or not. This doesn't matter, because the only thing they want is, if something serves their will, or something like that. You see, and so, as I mentioned before, like the idea of property, people don't get it. The example I gave around the water. Not only the water, but this is a good thing to understand what is really all about. Water. No one lives without water. We are about 70% water. So even if someone lives without drinking, that doesn't matter. They live without water because we absorb it through air, and not only that, whatever, when we wash ourselves, our skin absorbs the water. So the thing is, we need water. It's part of our life. We need. It's impossible to live without water. Basically, it's what it is. So this is fundamental. It's about life. You see, then you shouldn't drink polluted water, of course. You should drink and use it in general as spring water. And imagine a property with a place where is spring water, and the neighbors depend on it. But property, the owner of property is closes that place using only for him, and then the neighbors get nothing. You see, so that is what's happening. So the owner of a property is like the owner given by God, something like that. It's the most sacred thing in this world is property. You see, so nothing is justified like property. Like the land as property. They say someone, they of course, not us, they conquer the land, the enemy, and no one questioned themselves. Well, but the enemy was the owner, and so before them, how things work exactly. You see, no one questions anything, basically. Nothing. It's insane. So, you see, things should be different. And let me say this, if the power was in my hands, like something like that. I don't like this expression, but it's the way to show you. I would put in the law exactly something like no property could be above that water. And so the owner should be obligated to give some somehow, some way, give the access to water to everyone. Everybody should be able to use the same water. And so, whether may people go there or the owner put a pump to a public space to leave the water running all the time. So it's simple, very simple. But people don't get it. The water is always running, always. Well, there are places where in the summer that goes down, basically, but that is the other matter. When the water runs, that's it. And no one should be owner of water. It's the same as to be owner of the others' lives. Basically is what it is, because people need water. So, you see, this is an example of madness we live in. So, I hope you like it. Share and keep well. Till next one.